Imagine waking up in a town where every single person, every child, every adult, every elder has no hair at all. Not a single strand on their heads, not even eyebrows or eyelashes, and for them, that is not strange, that is normal, that is identity, history, tradition, that is who they are. Now imagine being the only one who isn't like them. The only one with hair. The only one who doesn't belong. And the only one who isn't supposed to exist. Because in Bald Town, hair is not just rare. It is forbidden. And the girl who has it, she was never meant to be born. Her name was Lira. And from the moment she took her first breath, something in the room went terribly wrong. The midwife didn't scream. She didn't gasp. She simply froze. Because wrapped around the newborn's head, soft and dark like threads of night, was hair, thick, flowing, impossibly alive, and it shimmered under the dim light as if it carried a secret that no one in that town had seen in generations, or perhaps had tried to forget. Her mother wept, but not out of joy. Her father stepped back, as if the child in his arms might burn him. And outside, the wind howled against the wooden walls like it already knew, something had changed. Something had returned. Bald Town was not always called that. Long ago, before memory became silence, it had another name, a name buried under years of fear and quiet obedience. But the people no longer spoke of that time. Because Bald Town had rules. Rules that were never written, yet everyone followed without question. Rule 1. No one grows hair. Rule 2. If hair appears, it must be removed immediately. Rule 3. Never ask why. And most importantly, Rule 4. Never speak of the ones who came before. From birth, every child's head was shaved smooth, not because it needed to be, but because it was expected to be. And over generations, something strange happened. Children stopped growing hair altogether. At first, it was seen as a blessing. Then it became normal. And finally, it became truth. No one questioned it anymore. Except now, there was Lira. Lira's parents made a decision that night, a decision born from fear, not love. They would hide her. They wrapped her head in layers of cloth, tight and suffocating, even as a baby, telling neighbors she had a condition, something fragile, something temporary. But hair doesn't stay still. It grows. It moves. It breathes. And by the time Lira was 5 years old, her hair had become something almost unnatural, longer than it should be, softer than it should feel, and strangely, warm. As if it had a life of its own. She wasn't allowed outside during the day. She wasn't allowed to play with other children. She wasn't even allowed to look at her reflection for too long. People won't understand, her mother would whisper, tying the cloth tighter each morning. But Lira didn't understand either. Because to her, this was normal. One evening, when the sky turned a deep shade of violet and the town began to quiet down, Lira slipped outside for the first time without permission. The air felt different. Free. Alive. And for a moment, she forgot to be afraid. Until she saw them. A group of children playing in the square, laughing, running, their smooth heads reflecting the last light of the sun, and when they noticed her, they stopped. Not because of her face. Not because of her presence. But because the cloth around her head had loosened, just enough, for a single strand of hair to fall free. And in that moment, the world went silent. What is that? One of them whispered. Lira reached up slowly, touching the strand as if seeing it for the first time. This, she said softly. This is me. By morning, the entire town knew. Not how. Not why. But rumors in Bald Town moved faster than truth. They say it moves. They say it grows on its own. They say it's a curse. They say it's a sign. People began avoiding Lira's house. Shops refused to serve her family. And at night, shadows gathered outside their windows, watching. Waiting. Because the elders had heard the stories. Stories they had spent their lives trying to erase. Stories about a time when everyone had hair. And something terrible happened. Lira's father could no longer pretend. One night, as the wind rattled the doors and something unseen seemed to press against the walls, he finally spoke the truth. There was a time, he said, voice trembling, when hair was not forbidden, it was celebrated, it was power, identity, beauty. Then why did it stop? Lira asked. He hesitated. Because some truths are not meant to be told. Because something came with it. Lira began to notice things. Strange things. Her hair would move, even when there was no wind. It would react to her emotions, tightening when she was afraid, softening when she was calm. And sometimes, late at night, she could hear whispers. Not from outside, but from within it. At first, they were faint. Unclear. But slowly, they began to form words. Remember. Wake up. Find us. Driven by something she couldn't explain, Lira followed the whispers beyond the edge of the town, to a place no one dared to go. A forest. Old. Silent. Forgotten. And deep within it, she found something buried beneath layers of earth and time. A mirror. Cracked, worn, but still reflecting. And when she looked into it, she didn't see Bald Town. She saw something else. A world where people had hair. Where they laughed. Where they lived without fear. And behind her reflection, something moved. The whispers grew louder. The truth became unavoidable. Hair was never the problem. It was the key. Generations ago, something had tried to control the town, something that fed on identity, on uniqueness, on what made people different. And the easiest way to control them. Erase it. Erase hair. Erase individuality. Erase memory. The town didn't lose its hair naturally. It was taken. And now, with Lira, it was coming back. Lira stood at the center of Bald Town, her hair no longer hidden, flowing freely, alive, undeniable. The people watched. Afraid. Angry. Confused. You brought this back. One of the elders shouted. No, Lira said, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. I just remembered what you tried to forget. The wind rose. The ground trembled. And for the first time in generations, a single strand of hair began to grow on someone else. Then another. And another. Panic spread. Because change is terrifying, especially when it reveals the truth. By morning, Bald Town was no longer bald. Some embraced it. Some resisted. Some ran. But nothing could stop it now. Because truth, once uncovered, does not go back into hiding. Lira stood at the edge of the town, watching as people touched their heads in disbelief, in wonder, in fear. She was no longer alone. But she was still different. Because she was the first. The one who broke the silence. The one who brought it back. And as the wind carried her hair like a living shadow behind her, the whispers faded, not because they were gone. But because their purpose was fulfilled. Because sometimes, the thing that makes you different is the very thing that saves everyone else.